Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Talk and Travel with Terry and Darcy, the news edition. Coming to you from the East Coast, my name is Darcy McKillop, coming to you live from Douglas, New Brunswick, and coming from the West Coast is Terry Hawkins, all the way up in Kelowna, BC. How are things tonight, Terry?
Doing good. We're cooking hot here. It's great to see summer is broke. Lots of people out on the lake and lots of jet skis and boats out there. It's wonderful to see everybody having a great time.
Yeah, pretty much the same out here. We've been hitting those high temps that people wish for in the winter and complain about in the summer. But we're hitting the 40-degree humidex for the last few days. But we've got tons of bus tours coming through again, and lots of tourists in town. So great to see people are moving around and traveling a bit. So let's get to our news for this 2-week period. So Terry, how about you open us off with our cruise news?
All right. Thanks, Darcy. Starting off with the big news from the CDC. They've dropped their vaccination requirements for cruises that stop in the United States. The CDC says vaccination and testing are now recommended, but not required. That brings their guidelines into line with other aspects of daily life. Testing and vaccination may still be required by various cruise lines, usually based on the ports of call. Canada, for example, still requires that cruise line passengers be fully vaccinated. They also require all cruise line passengers embarking through a Canadian port fill out the ArriveCan app prior to boarding, even if they have not left Canada. So yes, if you're boarding a cruise ship out of Vancouver or St. John or any place else in Canada, even though you haven't left Canada, you still have to fill out that ArriveCan app before you board the ship. Now, we're not going to list which cruise lines have dropped their testing requirements or have lowered their vaccination levels on board, as that information is changing very quickly. Instead, check with Darcy or I, or check with your cruise line to see the latest requirements.
Thanks, Terry. And moving on to some great news coming to us from Silver Sea Cruises. We mentioned a few weeks ago, we mentioned that Silver Seas Cruises has acquired the Crystal Endeavour, and Silver Seas has decided they will be honoring the deposits and future cruise credits that were issued by Crystal Cruises for sailings on the Endeavour once the Crystal's bankruptcy proceedings are settled, and they will be making clients whole from what they paid for those cruises. So essentially what you were saying here is if you paid $14,000 for a cruise on the Endeavour and it got canceled, and then bankruptcy court gives you back $2,000 of that $14,000, Silver Seas is going to give you the rest of it in one way or the other. It could be that you have the money for a deposit on another cruise. If you've already cruised, they'll simply give you the $12,000 back. So, and that applies to any of the Royal Caribbean Group cruise lines. So, pretty generous offer from Royal Caribbean Group, because the other ships from Crystal Cruises were picked up by A&K Travel Group, and it doesn't look like they're going to be doing this, at least not at this time. So kudos to the Royal Caribbean Group for stepping up and making people whole from what was probably a pretty trying time for them.
G Adventures has a new custom-built catamaran for the Galapagos. The Reina Silvia Voyager has got 10 cabins, including 2 solo cabins. Solo travel is one of the fastest growing segments of cruising out there. And they will be doing 8 and 10-day voyages around the Galapagos, joining the Elida and the Eden, which both offer 7 to 17-day voyages. And Darcy is going to kick us off with some Disney news.
Yeah, Disney news and staying with Disney cruises. So the 2023 fall itineraries for the Disney cruise lines are now out, including several holiday-themed cruises. Bookings start opening as early as Monday if you're a Platinum Castaway Club member, a Golden Oak member, or Club 33 member. Gold Castaway Club members can book on Tuesday. Silver Castaway Club members, DVC owners, and Adventure Insiders can book Wednesday. Everyone else can book on Thursday. The Disney Wish, the Disney Fantasy will be sailing out of Port Canaveral. The Disney Dream, mainly out of Port Everglades, which is Fort Lauderdale. If you're not familiar with it, Disney Magic is going to move from the East Coast to sail out of San Diego, and wonder where the Disney Wonder is going to be sailing out of. Last scheduled cruise for the Disney Wonder is an 8-night Alaskan sailing out of Vancouver. So guessing possibly Hawaii, and then maybe Japan or cruising from China. So pretty some different news from Disney.
And the Disney Wish has set sail on her maiden voyage, of course, last week. I know Darcy had the chance to watch a lot of that happening live. And yes, someone on board, at least one person on board, has purchased the $5,000 Kyber crystal drink. It's actually 4 drinks. It's a cocktail, 3 shots, and those shots are not your average shots. They're shots from bottles would cost $5,000 for the bottle. So that's really quite special. There's also a number of other gifts that go with them. And we believe it's about 4 invites to Skywalker Ranch. So that is very, very lucky individuals going to Skywalker Ranch.
That would be quite the visit. So, sticking with Disney, but moving off the cruise lines, Ventures by Disney is offering up to $500 off per person for select 2023 and 2024 Adventure by Disney Land Adventures. This offer must be booked by August 8th, so you have 2 or 3 weeks to get it booked. And get these extra savings on some amazing adventures. And if you're interested, give us a shout. We can look one up.
And Magic Band Plus are coming out July 27th. They will be available for purchase online and on-site. Pricing is starting at $34.99. The bands will light up with some of the nighttime spectaculars. They will allow guests to interact with different elements around the parks, including the 50th anniversary statues, and coolest of all, the Star Wars game at Galaxy's Edge, the bounty hunting game that you do. It looks like it is really going to add to that experience.
Cool. And finally, we're from Disney. Disney's IT department, wink wink, is adding to the My Disney experience in the Disneyland apps with a new feature.
Please don't break it.
A new feature that will help you locate your car in the parking lot after your long day at one of the Disney parks. And if you've been a person that's only been using Disney transportation, you have no idea how big these parking lots can be and how difficult it can be at the end of a long day to find that car. So if guests will be able to enter their parking information and location permissions are enabled, the app will fill in the details for them. So when you come out of the park at the end of the long day with 2 or 3 kids in tow, your app will be able to help you find that car and get you home much quicker. So this is going to be available at all 4 Disney World theme parks, Disney Springs, Disney Water Parks, and ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex. It'll come later at Disneyland, and we'll be very disappointed if it doesn't feature Mike from Monsters Inc. And Mater from Cars. So we look forward to that coming out soon.
And moving over to other news. Canada. I love this country, but amid much controversy and seemingly heading the opposite direction as the rest of the world, the Canadian government has resumed random testing for arriving air passengers at Calgary, Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. Those randomly selected will receive an email within 15 minutes of completing their customs declaration. The testing will be administered off-site, which is of some relief anyways, as the on-site testing was contributing to the factors of massive crowds and delays that we've been seeing, and nobody could really understand why you're having to queue up en masse for COVID testing. It's just inviting the spread. So nice to see that it's going to be off-site now.
Yes. Social distancing at its finest.
Yeah.
And some other, I guess, news that may not be so great. Europe travel fees are coming into effect. These were announced a long time ago, actually in 2018, but we think it's a good time to remind people that May 2023, these come into effect. The European Commission will introduce the European Travel Information and Authorization System for all visitors to the EU and the Schengen areas. These will require visitors to apply online or through an app for entry. €7 fee, so not a whole lot, but a little bit of fee to pay for persons between the ages of 18 and 70. The entry is good for 3 years or until your passport expires, whichever comes first. So, say announced a long time ago, and Europe is not the only place that's doing these type of things, but a lot of people like to travel through Europe, and so it's a good thing to keep in mind that if you're coming up to travel in 23, it's another little thing you're going to have to take care of.
And moving on to better, funner news, Air Canada United Airlines have reached a code-sharing agreement for up to 46 transborder destinations this year. 8 will be in Canada, 38 in the US, but they're not going to include routes to the warmer US states of Arizona, Florida, Hawaii, Nevada, or the US territories.
And some other good news coming out of Scandinavian Airlines, SAS. They've reached an agreement with 4 of their pilot unions to settle the 15-day pilot strike, which is good news. They do, however, remain in bankruptcy protection, so still that to deal with, but at least they should be able to get back in the air.
Yeah, absolutely. They did. I had clients going to Stockholm, and their flights Monday were canceled and Wednesday reinstated, so they made it there. It's fantastic. Canada Jetlines has started selling tickets for flights between Toronto and Moncton. Look at Darcy. He's so happy about this. More options for him for sure. They're also selling tickets for their Toronto to Winnipeg route for flights beginning August 15th. As you know, we've been following this story for some time, and it's really nice to see Canada Jetlines taking to the air in just 3 or 4 weeks here.
Yeah, that'll be certainly more options for at least for us in the East Coast for now. So hopefully they make their way to the West Coast soon as well. And this is a story that I think is really cool. And it's coming from Alaska Airlines, which is an airline that I know, Terry, you're more familiar with because of where you're located. That they're not flying on the East Coast, but every time I hear something from Alaska Airlines, I'm amazed at the things that they do and what they can do. So they're bringing in electronic bag tags to the North American market. They're going to come in a little bit slowly, but they'll go out to frequent Alaskan area customers first, the Alaskan mileage plan customers, to be able to purchase them. What these electronic tags do is they allow you to skip printing out the paper bag tags at the airport. There's several other airlines that use this service, including KLM, Lufthansa, Swiss, and China Southern. So a really cool move on their part. And you never know, just taking a guess, electronic bag tags may actually help them locate bags too if there's an issue with misplaced or lost bags. So this could be Alaska Airlines getting a jump on dealing with some of these bag issues that are going on right now. So
absolutely, that's great to see. And in the very least, check-in is going to be that much faster. I know that's always the stall point for us when we're traveling, is printing out and then attaching those tags. You'd think I remember how to attach them after all the flights I've done. It's new to me every single time. And moving over to a little bit of Hawaiian news here. As Hurricane Darby passed to the south of the Hawaiian Islands last weekend, historically high swells were reported. In fact, one swell was so massive that it caused a wave to break over the roof of a 2-story condominium on Ali'i Drive in Kona. These historic swells have since passed, and the resulting this week, it was some truly incredible surfing, some of the best surfing that people have seen in 15 or 17 years, I guess they were saying. So it's been a fantastic week for the Hawaiian surfers there.
I sure hope those people in that condo had their doors and windows closed.
They did, but the wave did break the windows and flood the condominium, but everybody got out of there safe, and that was really good to see.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. So that's all the news we have for you for this edition. But before we go, just like to remind everybody that as travel picks up, people are traveling again, but there still are issues, and certainly as Canadians, we certainly see it in our airports, especially Pearson and Toronto and Trudeau and Montreal, where there is still issues with backed up luggage, people waiting around, canceled flights, delayed flights. So keep in mind, again, the people working in the airport are not the ones that are causing the problems, and they're doing the job, and they deserve our respect as much as we would anybody else. So don't take out your frustrations on them. Make sure that you take some time to plan a little bit more. Perhaps if you're doing a cruise, we always recommend that you flow in the day before, or maybe the time you need to go a couple days before to give you that extra wiggle room. Or maybe you need to make sure that you're buying insurance that you never bought before in case something happens. It's certainly becoming a much more needed part of any vacation planning. So keep those things in mind, and don't take it out on the people working in the airport, because they're stressed as much as anybody else. So.
I hope everybody hits the like and subscribe button and press the notifications button. You'll get notified when our next one comes out. Everybody have yourselves a great week.
See you later, all.